Hi David,
Hi there, Pierre.
could you tell me what is Atheist Freethinkers?
Atheist Freethinkers is an organization based here in Montreal, in Quebec, in Canada, which defends the rights of atheists and promotes secularism. It was founded in 2010 and 2011, grew out of a committee that was formed to help organize an atheist humanist convention here in Montreal in October of 2010, and then the organization was formalized in 2011. We are affiliated with two international organizations, AAI, Atheist Alliance International, which was the instigator of the convention, and also with LPA-AFT, which is the International Association of Free Thought. And we also participate in a local Quebec coalition called the Rassemblement pour la laïcité, or the Alliance for Secularism, which promotes secularism here in Quebec. Mm-hmm. Now, tell me, Pierre.
Yeah.
What is atheism?
Well, atheism is a pretty simple idea. It's simply a person that is not believing in any god or deity. So if you don't believe in these things, you are automatically an atheist. You don't have to do anything. It's just that if you don't believe that these things exist, well, then you're an atheist.
So it is an absence of belief in gods or deities.
Yeah, exactly. So it's what is the particularity of being an atheist is that you really don't have something to do to be an atheist. It's like saying I'm a non-golf player. So if I don't play golf, I'm a non-golf player. If I'm an atheist, that means that I don't believe in super natural things. I don't believe that these things exist.
So supernatural things such as gods and goddesses, mm-hmm. but also other forms of supernatural beings.
Yeah,
atheists don't believe in those either.
I think so. If you believe in other things that are very similar, like ghosts or spirits, I believe that this is part of the supernatural world. So it's you're not an atheist if you believe in these things. An atheist also means that you believe that the world is the physical world, and it's the only world that exists.
In other words, we are philosophical materialists.
Exactly, that's the exact term.
Yes, the material world is basically everything.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
What is agnosticism?
Agnosticism.
Agnosticism
is a system of doubt with respect to belief in God or gods or goddesses, and but it is a state of persisting in that doubt. Whereas we as atheists, we draw the conclusion. We doubt the existence of gods and goddesses, but in studying the question and looking at the evidence, we realize that there is no evidence whatsoever for the existence of these beings, and therefore we draw the conclusion that they don't exist. We draw the conclusion of atheism. So we are not agnostics. Agnostics sort of stay in the state of doubt, whereas we see no reason to remain in doubt because we have enough evidence to draw a conclusion.
Well, in fact, would you say that there's two kinds of agnostic? Like we can define agnosticism as the knowledge of God is inaccessible. So that can lead that to atheists that are agnostic, or theists that are agnostic, in the sense that you believe in God, but this knowledge is inaccessible. So you are agnostic, or if you are an atheist, by default, that make you an agnostic because these things do not exist.
Well, I think what you're saying is that, yes, I think agnostics are divided into two main groups. Most of them they either really do believe some kind of God exists, or they really do not believe that some kind of God exists. And so if you scratch them hard enough and get underneath the surface of the agnosticism, you'll find that you either have a God believer or an atheist, really. It's just that they don't quite have sufficient courage or intellectual whatever it takes to take that final step. Whereas we atheists, we would say that atheism is a scientific certainty. That is a certainty beyond any reasonable doubt, and not an absolute certainty. That absolute certainties don't really exist except maybe in the minds of religious people. Everything is subject to doubt. But when the doubt is so strong that when the evidence for something is absolutely missing and utterly weak, such as the absence for the existence of God, then we're justified in drawing a conclusion and being atheists.
Would you say for the people that are calling themselves agnostic that they are sometimes doing it because they are afraid of the impact or the repercussions that can have on their life? Because we know that some religious people, some religious group do not accept that we criticize their religion, or we go outside the bounds and they don't want to be attacked. So instead of saying that they are atheists, they will say that they are agnostic.
Indeed, it's sometimes very dangerous to be an out atheist, especially if you're living in Saudi Arabia or a country like that, or if you're living in medieval Europe. A few centuries ago, it was very dangerous to be an atheist. But today, in countries like Canada or in European countries or in the United States, you can be an atheist without too much danger. But there is still a lot of prejudice.
Okay.
And this brings me to the next question I'd like to ask you, Pierre. The question of morality. There are religious believers who claim that atheists have no morals. What do you say in reply to that?
Well, I say that that's pretty mean to say that at first. And if we start to think about it, it would be pretty weird that it's only a certain group of people that would be moral. That would mean that they have something that others really don't have. What I truly believe is that our morality has evolved. We are animals, and our morality has evolved because we like to live together, help one another. So I believe that morality is fundamentally human. It is something that we have in us. We like to do usually good things to others, like others like to do good things for us, because if someone is too aggressive, it would be put out of the group.
They would be excluded.
Yeah, excluded from the group automatically. So for me, it's really something that has evolved in us. It's in every human being. Everyone has this sense of morality. In fact, what I found strange is based on some religious beliefs. Sometimes it's hard to believe that religious people can be moral, because if we look in the religious text of the Bible or other books, we see that there is a call to exclude those who think differently. There is a call to exclude gay people, to subjugate women. It's pretty aggressive and sometimes pretty nasty. What could be written, and sometimes I wonder if it is possible to be truly moral and be religious at the same time.
So, if I understand what you're saying, is that morality evolved in us biologically and culturally because we're a social species. And you also question whether religion doesn't take people away from that innate morality. We have an innate morality, and religion tends to pervert that by saying that you must be a member of our in-group to be a good person.
Yeah.
The people who are not belonging to that particular religion are bad people, or people who don't belong to any religion are the worst of all.
Yeah, exactly. If you go outside the group, suddenly you're not a good person because you don't accept blindly what the image of reality of the religious group is proposing. I think it's a kind of intimidation. It's playing on the feelings of people because we like to belong in the group, to be accepted, and we feel a pressure when people are saying things like that.
And there's a word for the prejudice you're describing.
What is it?
The word is atheophobia.
Atheophobia, yeah, that's the word. Yes, there's a lot of people that are afraid of atheists, especially because, they are outside the group. What is outside the group is always seen as something suspicious, something bad. So people are afraid of saying that they are atheists, and it's a bad thing because if they are, they are, and otherwise they are lying. If they are atheists and saying otherwise, so it would be better if people would be able to simply telling the truth about what they are believing and be able to criticize any idea, because there's nothing special in religion when you think about it. Some objects are said to be sacred, but when you look at these objects, they don't have any special properties. They are a physical object like others, and it's just that we treat them in a special way, and that's what makes it special. Otherwise, it's not.
I have a final question for you.
Final question?
I want to ask you about anti-theism. Are atheists always anti-theists?
I believe that if you follow the process of many atheists, I mean by that you go away from religion, then you start thinking by yourself, you then become critical of religion. And this leads often to be anti-theist, because you look at these religious texts and what they are proposing, and sometimes it goes against your common sense, your morals. So it's often leading to be anti-theist. So it's like a normal evolution for atheists to become anti-theist, I believe.
I would say that an atheist who is not anti-theist would be someone who doesn't care about his or her fellow human beings, because when you realize just how baseless and dangerous theism is, then of course we must oppose it. But we don't oppose it in we don't want to repress it in people's private lives. We respect their right to do what they want, practice their religion or whatever they want in their private lives, or even in public, as long as it's not in the government. And that's why we support secularism, to keep that out of we want to keep religion out of government, out of the state.
Yeah,
but that's a subject for another video.
Well, I totally agree with you on this. Just like would like to add that sometimes it's simply that people are afraid. Sometimes it's, as you said, depending where you live, it could be difficult to say these things, and it could have on some people a real impact on their life. So people won't take the risk, and they will keep their mouth shut. But I think, as you said, here in Canada, it's more open, and we shouldn't be afraid to express what we truly are.
We should use the freedom which we luckily have.
Yeah.
Did you know that Charles Darwin was one of the most important anti-racists of all time? Because of his explanation of the origin and evolution of species through natural selection. Indeed, evolutionary theory which is the basis of all biological science, implies a necessary kinship among all living beings which have evolved from a single common ancestor. The various human races are only imprecise categories distinguished from each other by rather vague boundaries. Their commonalities are much more important than their differences.